Momoshiki is about to do something so disrespectful that Boruto might want to start charging rent for his own body, because at this point he's basically letting the greatest parasite in Naruto history borrow a Bugatti with an unlimited gas card. The scary part isn't that Momoshiki is stronger than Boruto. The scary part is that he takes everything Boruto's already mastered, fixes every flaw, and then fights like he has several thousand years worth of experience using it, because he quite literally has in some cases. If Kashin Koji's vision of Boruto being controlled is uncontrollable, then the strongest version of Boruto might not be Boruto Uzumaki at all. And ultimately, this could serve as the best awakening for Boruto Uzumaki as a character to train to grow stronger. Join me in today's newest Naruto Explained video, where your OBC, your original Boruto chief, takes a look at why Momoshiki will be near unstoppable when he hijacks control of Boruto's body like Kashin Koji saw. Also, if you're into Bleach, don't forget to check out the all 28 Bankai in Bleach video breaking down all the Bankai from the manga, the anime, and the light novels of the Bleach story. That video will be linked in the description box and in credits for those of you guys who are curious, and I strongly recommend that video as well. Also, with Boruto's manga on break this month, I've got Patreon exclusive videos that are going to be coming public on YouTube that patrons have had for the last few months, up to 6 months ago depending on the video that you're watching. Stuff like Kakashi and the Kaguya video essay, Obito's video essay, the videos on Iwabe, and new videos that I'm going to be dropping early that would normally go on Patreon, like the Sage's Six Paths and Hashirama videos. Those will be coming up very shortly. So this month won't be just Boruto manga discussions each day. You're getting your Naruto and Boruto lore fix as well. For the longest time, we as fans have looked at Momoshiki controlling Boruto's body as something we accept is going to happen at some point. Boruto loses control, runs low on chakra, or he has a mental break, and then our favorite racist Otsutsuki pops up. At that point, someone either dies, suffers lasting damage, or they leave, thanking the evil ghost of Kaguya that they were able to survive. But Boruto 2 Blue Vortex has completely changed what that scenario actually means. It did so by raising the stakes. Momoshiki has only ever hijacked the body of 12-year-old Boruto. That's not to say that 12-year-old Boruto was weak, far from it. Before he got the Karma Seal at the very start of the story, he was already starting at a Jonin level of power and skill. Hence, he was being compared to Minato and Sasuke in universe. And through the battles and getting the Karma Seal afterwards, Boruto got a lot stronger. However, hijacking that Boruto and adding your chakra isn't the same as doing it to, say, a 15-year-old Boruto who is now over Jigen in power. That's like someone driving a 5.7 liter Hemi engine at 375 horsepower and then getting behind the wheel of a supercharged 6.2 liter Hemi engine with 1025 horsepower, and then they add a twin turbo to it that raises it up to 1800 horsepower. One is strong, but it's in a cute and it's in a safe way. The other is so strong that it scares you because one mistake driving it could kill you and everybody around you. Kid Boruto is the former. Teen Boruto is the second. Teen Boruto being controlled by Momoshiki, he is the latter, the last one. This is a monster that can unleash devastation on a scale that nobody thought possible in this new era. Kashin Koji knew that, which is why he tried to stop Boruto from going after Code, in my opinion. Kashin Koji trained Boruto for the purposes of making him strong enough to take down the calamity known as Jura. He was doing humanity a favor. He was also doing Momoshiki a favor. The stronger a vessel gets, the more dangerous the Otsutsuki becomes when they inhabit it. Boruto on his own was in a level of power that 99.99999% of shinobi in history ever dream about reaching. Without Karma, he easily surpassed the same Jigen who defeated Naruto and Sasuke in a collective 5 hits, despite them at the time being the 2 strongest shinobi to have ever walked the ninja world up until that point in time, because they have been surpassed. Boruto hit a level of power above that without ever having to use the Karma Seal, which that is scary. Everything that terrified fans about Jigen was basically Boruto's starting point when it comes to a power level. He was a blank slate coming out of the time skip. We knew he was going to get stronger, but his experiences and his training after the time skip, after returning to the village, they would serve to color him whatever shade that the future held for him. Now karma has entered into the equation. We saw what Momoshiki giving his chakra to Boruto could do. It amplified Boruto's attack power even more than usual. He even used the Byakugan in combat for once, and it made him more deadly. Yet, for as impressive as that is, we know there is a different level of power that all three full vessels of an Otsutsuki have displayed: the Horned State. When they have the karma, they get a power buff. They get the special jutsu of their Otsutsuki. Yet, there's still a stronger tier of power for them to tap into that goes beyond true essence of karma. That Horned State is a nasty power buff. Jigen went from basic karma sealed Jigen being on par with Naruto and Sasuke as a collective to that Horned State left Sasuke running to Sakura to avoid dying, and Naruto spent time ironically locked inside two ramen bowls re-evaluating his life decisions. That Horned State isn't what makes Momoshiki as dangerous though. I don't want you to focus on that too much. It's the fact that he's in control now. That distinction matters. Momoshiki is more strategic and a more ruthless fighter than Boruto, which that isn't a downplay Boruto at all. But it's like giving the fastest Formula One car to a teenager who has only had their license for a couple of years versus the greatest Formula One racer in history getting that same car. It doesn't just become a problem, it becomes unfair. That's Boruto versus Momoshiki when you think about it. When Momoshiki takes control, it isn't just about the power gap. The movements become more efficient and ruthless. Weaknesses Boruto had when using certain jutsu are outright eliminated. Case in point, Momoshiki saw the compression Rasengan and said, what if I fired this thing off like a bullet? Now imagine Momoshiki doing the same thing with the vanishing Rasengan. Imagining Momoshiki looking at Boruto's flying Raijin, which was modeled after Otsutsuki teleportation, and Momoshiki just fixes the flaws. Suddenly, teleportation requires less focus. Suddenly, Boruto needing a long period of time, according to the database entry for it that compared Boruto's flying Raijin to Minato's, where it said that Boruto can't mark people with the seal because it requires more chakra and focus and concentration than Boruto has. Momoshiki can now erase that problem. The time to gather for Uzuhiko, Momoshiki probably figures out a way around it. Even if he doesn't, Momoshiki using the power Uzuhiko is a nightmare to think about. Boruto held back when using that jutsu for the first time. Momoshiki won't hesitate and likely will try to use it even faster, potentially cutting down on the charging time to full power. That's the difference between a genius and somebody who's already a master. A genius can learn quickly and they can innovate when pointed in the right direction. A master already knows the ins and outs, and that innovative idea that the genius came up with, the master already thought of it well before the genius even thought about the possibility. That sword that Boruto carries, that drains the chakra anyone who isn't registered to the blade, Momoshiki will now find a way to weaponize it, in particular in a battle. The same with all the jutsu Sasuke taught Boruto that didn't require the Sharingan. Techniques Sasuke passed down for the sake of protecting others will now be aimed at comrades. It's poetic. Kakashi suffered the same fate when he taught Sasuke. Now Sasuke suffering that same fate with Boruto due to Momoshiki. Then there's all the techniques that Boruto learned from other timelines that we haven't seen Boruto use yet, but given Kashin Koji was piling so much information into Boruto, it's reasonable to assume that those other techniques, Boruto learned them. 2 years is a long period of time to train. Sometimes I don't think people realize that. Boruto wasn't just making new jutsu from scratch. He was a genius that was being given the steps to learn those jutsu, so all the trial and error, they were stripped away. He wasn't a doofus like his father, who needed almost an entire month to go through the steps of the Rasengan, and then he needed an entire extra week of training in order to win his bet with Tsunade to pull all the steps together in order to be able to perform a proper Rasengan. Boruto doesn't struggle like his dad. The same way that Kakashi told us in Naruto's manga that Sasuke learned lightning release and the Chidori in only a few days of training, it's likely the same for Boruto learning the jutsu of all the other Borutos from the other timelines. Momoshiki can use all of that. That's a lot before you even get to Momoshiki's own Otsutsuki techniques that he can mix in. The idea of Momoshiki combining the Byakugans near 360-degree vision with the flying Raijin and the Rasengan Uzuhiko, it is scary. One minute Himawari's walking down the street, the next minute Boruto's behind her with the Uzuhiko charged up, and she's getting screwed over worse than Kiba when he learned that Tamaki was only with them because she wanted Naruto's autograph. Kawaki has been preparing to fight Boruto. He knows Momoshiki is a possibility, yet Kawaki doesn't know the full extent of what Boruto has, and that's not the same thing. Boruto Uzumaki, who Kawaki knew in part 1, had Boruto's style of fighting. This is Boruto with a mix. He can now dip into Sasuke's entire arsenal. Kawaki doesn't know how Sasuke fights. He can use his own bag as well. He can dip into an alternate version of himself. Momoshiki has all of that he can use. And when you add in Momoshiki, when he controls Boruto the way he does, the fights move in a different way. For someone like Kawaki, he's a great fighter, but in my opinion, he doesn't have the same level of versatility that Boruto now has that Momoshiki can now control. In particular, control this stronger version of Boruto, and that level of diversity might be what decides their entire battle. A loss of compassion, which ironically compassion is Boruto's greatest strength, that is a cancer that Momoshiki cut out. He doesn't need compassion. That's why it is gone. The only thing Momoshiki needs is a kunai and an eye for target practice. Kashin Koji should scare everyone in universe with this vision. Sarada, Mitsuki, Himawari, Kawaki, even Konohamaru, they know Boruto's strong. This isn't Boruto anymore. Lines Boruto won't cross in a fight, Momoshiki will cross them. Momoshiki will laugh as he does so. He will taunt as he does so. Don't think Momoshiki will be above weaponizing the bonds that Boruto has reforged with some of these characters in order to create openings. He did it as soon as he saw Naruto couldn't bring himself to fight his own son. Momoshiki knows the human heart. He's going to exploit that. That's why we might have seen Kawaki in one of those visions that Kashin Koji saw. Out of all those characters, Kawaki is the only one with both the power to stand up to his version of Boruto and the ability to compartmentalize the fact that he needs to differentiate between Momoshiki and Boruto. Manga Sarada may hesitate when she sees this version of him. So too will Himawari most likely. Mitsuki will likely try to strike with sneak attacks and etc., but the power isn't there. Konohamaru, well, Momoshiki might die of laughter when he says that he's there to fight him. However, there's more to this than the threat level that Momoshiki poses. And that's really what I want you to take away from this video. It's what Momoshiki inside of Boruto really represents. It represents that for as talented and as powerful as Boruto is, he hasn't reached his own ceiling yet. Kashin Koji trained him all the jutsu that Boruto learned in all these other timelines. But we see parts of Boruto's weakness that Masashi Kishimoto alluded to in 2016 when he was doing promotion for Boruto's manga, doing interviews, etc., before the manga officially debuted. He isn't lazy, but he is smart enough that he figures out the shortcuts. Even when he tries to learn things the right way, his mind just finds ways to cut corners to get to the same results, which ultimately makes his jutsu incomplete because steps that he didn't think matter served a purpose. Boruto's basically that guy that doesn't look at the instruction manual, sees all the pieces, puts it together, then sees 30 or 40 pieces that look like they should go on it and says, I don't really need this, puts it in a box, and then suddenly the entire thing crumbles apart after it's been used a few times. Boruto is one of the greatest prodigies the series has ever produced. He made his first Rasengan at the same age that Sasuke and Sakura were, learning the difference between a shadow clone and a clone jutsu, which, reminder, clone jutsu is strictly illusion based and shadow clones are physical clones. I am throwing that out there because I still read comments in 2026 of people confusing the two. Yet, despite all that we see, there are too many holes in Boruto's jutsu that he uses. Every jutsu has a weakness, sure, but with each of Boruto's new jutsu, he's displayed things that aren't just weaknesses of the jutsu, so much as they feel like they're user errors, because there are parts of Boruto's arsenal that are lacking and need to be built up in order to properly use these jutsu to their most efficient ways. Case in point, if he throws two similar flying Raijin markers in close proximity, Boruto can't control which he teleports to like his grandfather. Hence, he needs different shapes to work around it. Momoshiki hijacking Boruto might be the best thing for him, because we know Boruto by his own words remembers everything Momoshiki does when he's in control of his body. Seeing someone like that show up the weaknesses of his techniques might serve as a benefit to Boruto as well. To help him take that next step as a shinobi, he doesn't need to be taught more jutsu. He needs to be taught to use what he already has more efficiently. Sasuke saw that problem with Boruto. He said, keep working on and refining the techniques I taught you. Boruto learned all his jutsu, but he still had a ways to go before Sasuke himself was satisfied. Talent isn't the same thing as mastery. Learning a jutsu isn't the same thing as being a master of it. Momoshiki controlling Boruto might be the worst outcome for many fans, might be the worst outcome for those in universe, but narratively, it could do the one thing that benefits Boruto the most. It could serve as a teaching moment for him. Obviously, if you enjoyed this video, consider subscribing, clicking on the left for this Naruto Explained video, or clicking on the right for that Bleach video that I was talking to you guys about earlier.